After handing a nurse a bribe of assorted gifts, a salesman walks into a private maternity ward in Pakistan with one goal: to convince as many new mothers as possible that they need his baby formula. Many of these mothers have limited access at home to clean drinking water to mix with the formula, yet he hands out samples anyway. This man works for Nestle, and this type of aggressive marketing was widely used between the 60s and 80s in poorer countries with limited access to clean drinking water. Researchers allege that this has been linked to millions of infant deaths over the years. This isn't the extent of their scandals, from alleged ties to child slaves in West Africa, to attempting to cover up its illegal bottled water purification methods in France.
An inquiry commissioned by the Senate found the French government had covered up the use of treatments for years.
This billion-dollar company has the most sinister side, but it didn't start out that way. In fact, Nestle's story started by saving babies' lives. Let's explore how Nestle went from being a trusted brand to one of the most controversial food conglomerates in the world. Welcome to my new documentary series, where we look at the dark side of some of the biggest companies in the world. In the mid-1800s, mothers who couldn't breastfeed often had no safe alternative, and many babies died from malnutrition. A German man living in Switzerland named Henry Nestle saw that need, and in 1867 created one of the first successful infant foods, a mixture of cow's milk, flour, and a sugar, naming it Farine Lactée. It immediately started saving lives, and people started to trust the Nestle name. The product quickly expanded across Europe, and it wasn't long before it crossed the Atlantic to the US. Henry Nestle sold the company in 1875 for 1 million Swiss francs, which would have the equivalent of around $5 million in buying power today. He retired, and he used his money to help people. Over the next few decades, the business expanded rapidly. In 1905, after merging with the Anglo-Swiss Condensed Milk Company, Nestle became the foundation of a global food empire. Over the next century, Nestle spread far beyond infant food. Nescafe made it a global coffee giant. Maggi put it into everyday cooking. Rowntree brought huge chocolate brands like Kit Kat. Purina secured Nestle's market share in pet food. Gerber strengthened its position in the baby food market. And by 2018, Nestle was even selling Starbucks coffee products in supermarkets around the world. By this point, Nestle was no longer known for one product. It was in coffee, confectionery, baby food, bottled water, and pet food. That meant Nestle was becoming harder to avoid. The first major scandal that really changed Nestle's reputation came from the same product that made its name in the first place. In the 1970s, infant formula sales began to decline in high-income countries due to lower birth rates and a growing belief in the positive health effects of breastfeeding. In response, Nestle began marketing aggressively in lower-income countries, which often had limited access to clean drinking water. Methods included passing out free samples in maternity wards, convincing new mothers that baby formula was better than breastfeeding, and dressing salespeople up in nurses' uniforms to give a false sense of medical authority. Baby formula needed to be mixed with water, but often the water was too unclean to drink, and babies would die from diseases. Researchers later estimated that this was linked to hundreds of thousands of infant deaths each year. This crisis was famously exposed in the 1974 report called The Baby Killer, which caused international backlash. In 1977, a boycott of Nestle products was launched in the United States, which spread across the globe. As a result, the World Health Assembly instituted the International Code of Marketing of Breast Milk Substitutes. Nestle's profits reportedly dropped by 16% during this time. So in 1984, they met with boycott coordinators and pledged to fully implement the code. The boycott was suspended. But just 4 years later, IBFAN, the International Baby Food Action Network, reported that Nestle and other companies were flooding health facilities in poorer countries with free or low-cost baby formula in a strategy called dumping. Dumping is where a company brings a product into a new area and undercuts all competitors' pricing in order to gain a majority of the market share, often used to monopolize. Wait until you hear Nestle's response. They argued that dumping was not scientific or quantifiable, though the international code allowed companies to give free samples to hospitals, and finally, that Nestle wasn't obliged to implement the code. The boycott started up again in 1988. A Pakistani salesman named Zaid Amir Raza Hussain became a whistleblower against his former employer Nestle in 1999. He stated that Nestle in the 90s were pushing him to commit the exact same aggressive marketing strategies that were used decades before during the controversies. Nestle's reputation was in pieces. It had originally built trust by providing a product that was meant to help infants, but greed had taken over, and their aggressive business tactics were causing major harm. For a company built on trust, that was a major turning point. Things get way worse though. Nestle had ties to some of the biggest chocolate brands in the world, which means they're heavily involved in cocoa farming. In a US lawsuit against Nestle, Hershey, and 5 other companies, an attempt was made to sue the conglomerates on pretenses that the farms they were buying cocoa from were using child slaves. Former child workers from Mali said they had been trafficked into the Ivory Coast with false promises of paid work, then forced to live in disgusting conditions and threatened with starvation if they don't work. The 7 companies buy an estimated 70% of all cocoa from the Ivory Coast. But since the plaintiffs were unable to link them directly to the exact farms which used child slaves, the lawsuit was dropped. Whether they were buying from the farms that trafficked humans or not, Nestle got away with it. In 2019, Nestle announced that they could not guarantee that their chocolate products were free from child slave labor, as they could trace only 49% of their purchasing back to the farm level. Their reputation, which started as an innocent company trying to help babies, had been constantly stained by countless accusations of evil practices, particularly involving kids, ironically. Then, in 2013, more accusations came out about Nestle in Pakistan, this time over water. In the city of Sheikhupura, Nestle set up 2 large water extraction plants back in 1997, which sit above a major underground water supply. This had been the main water supply for the nearby village of Bati Dilwan for decades. People said that after the plants were set up, over the years that followed, people in the village started getting sick from the water, and it became much harder to extract. So in other words, Nestle was taking water away from the locals and then selling it back to them. Once again, corporate greed seemed to be the defining force at Nestle. While this was going on, more babies were dying 2,500 miles away in Hong Kong from a Nestle milk product. In 2008, the Hong Kong government found melamine in a Chinese-made Nestle milk product. As a result, 6 infants died from kidney damage and 860 babies were hospitalized. In response, Nestle said all their milks are safe and are not contaminated by melamine. However, the Taiwan Health Ministry announced that 6 types of milk powders produced in China by Nestle contained low-level traces of melamine. If we hop on a flight to America, 7,000 miles away, just a year after this milk incident, you might be one of the lucky 50 people who got food poisoning from a Nestle product. An outbreak of E. coli was linked to Nestle's refrigerated cookie dough in 2009, resulting in 50 people across 30 states falling ill. It was so bad that people were hospitalized. Nestle recalled 30,000 cases of the cookie dough. Fast forward to 2015 in India, a few of Nestle's Maggi products had an ingredient so bad that it was banned from India, deeming them unsafe and hazardous. Food safety regulators found that samples of Nestle's Maggi noodles had up to 17 times more than the safe amount of metallic lead. A theme can be seen throughout all of this. Nestle's carelessness and greed has resulted in so much pain for many people around the world. But as soon as they are confronted, they'll either outright deny the allegations or somehow get away with it. Something happened in the 2020s that could literally be out of a movie. The story starts in France, when an investigation by Le Monde and Radio France revealed that at least a third of mineral water sold in France had been illegally treated, either with ultraviolet light, carbon filters, or ultrafine micro meshes commonly used to screen out bacteria. The issue wasn't about public health. The treated water was actually safe to drink. But under EU law, Natural mineral water, which by the way sells at a huge premium over tap water, is supposed to be completely unaltered. That is the whole selling point of natural mineral water. Nestle owns multiple mineral water brands involved in this, such as Perrier. What's absolutely crazy is that executives at Perrier and Nestle worked with ministers within the French government to keep the affair quiet, covering up reports of contamination and rewriting the rules so that Perrier could continue using microfiltration. I mean, I don't want to speculate, but how can a multi-billion-dollar company convince people within the French government to help them cover up their malicious business practices without some major bribes going on? That's just my thinking. The company paid a €2 million fine in 2024 to avoid legal action, but the scandal didn't go away. French authorities later searched Nestlé's offices in 2025 as part of an investigation into the use of unauthorized filtration systems. There is so much more I could cover on the dark side of Nestle, but we're going to stop for today. I encourage you to look into the company yourself. You'd be shocked at what else they've done over the years. If you enjoyed this, I think you're going to love my next episode of The Dark Side. If it hasn't come out yet, stay tuned, as this one is going to be crazy. See you there.